Why is it so hard to give up? What if the reason you can't let go has nothing to do with how much you want it? What if it has everything to do with what letting go would force you to become? Picture someone sitting alone late at night. The room is dim, rain against the window, an old conversation still open on a phone screen, a business plan unfinished on the desk, a journal with goals written years ago. Nothing is moving, except the mind. They are not thinking about the future. They are not planning. They are doing something quieter than that. They are holding on. And somewhere beneath the holding, a question they have been avoiding. If I had invested nothing in this, no time, no years, no identity, would I choose it again today? Stay with that question, because by the end of this, you may not answer it the way you expect. We have been told a story about persistence, that the people who hold on are the ones who succeed, that quitting is failure, that somewhere between where you are and where you want to be, the only variable is how long you're willing to stay. It is one of the most repeated ideas in modern culture, and it contains just enough truth to make it dangerous. Because it never asks the question underneath. Not should you keep going, but what is actually keeping you there? What if persistence and fear aren't opposites? What if, sometimes, persistence is simply fear wearing a more respectable mask? Most people think they are holding on to a dream. They are not. They are holding on to the version of themselves that finally succeeds. The version that finally proves the sacrifice was worth it. The version that finally becomes who they promised themselves they would be. And losing that version can feel more painful than losing the dream itself. Psychologists call this identity fusion. When a goal, a relationship, or a role becomes so entangled with your sense of self that releasing it doesn't feel like a decision. It feels less like a choice and more like losing a part of yourself. This is why the person in the career they outgrew 3 years ago doesn't just feel stuck. They feel that leaving would mean the years were a mistake, that they were wrong about themselves. This is why the person in the relationship that stopped working quietly doesn't just feel conflicted. They feel that leaving would erase a version of themselves they are not ready to grieve. The persistence was never really about the goal. It was about the story, who you are, and what it would mean if that story turned out to be wrong. But there is something even more powerful underneath that, something that explains why people stay long after they know they should leave. Think about the last time something you were invested in showed a small sign of life. One good conversation in a relationship that had gone quiet. 1 month where the business finally moved. 1 moment where the dream felt briefly, genuinely possible. What did that moment do to you? It didn't create relief, it created grip. Neuroscientists have found that unpredictable, inconsistent reward creates stronger behavioral attachment than consistent reward. The occasional win, the unexpected sign, the moment that arrives just when you were about to stop. These moments don't loosen the hold, they deepen it. Because the brain doesn't just remember the reward, it begins to need the possibility of the reward. And hope, which is supposed to be the thing that pulls you forward, becomes the thing that keeps you exactly where you are. Now consider this. Behavioral economists have found that humans experience the pain of losing something at roughly twice the intensity of the pleasure of gaining something equivalent. Which means that walking away from something, even something that is no longer working, activates a grief response that feels entirely disproportionate to the situation. Not because the thing was that valuable, but because the mind registers loss as danger. So the person continues, not towards something, away from the feeling of loss. Which means some people spend years chasing a future, when what they're really running from is a goodbye they never wanted to say. And persistence, the thing the world celebrates, becomes a way of avoiding the very thing we fear most, letting go. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that comes from this. It doesn't look like burnout. It doesn't announce itself. It lives in the low energy of doing something that once excited you, but no longer does. The performance of enthusiasm you stopped feeling years ago. The weight of maintaining commitment to something you privately stopped believing in. And what makes this so difficult to recognize is that from the outside, it looks exactly like strength. Sometimes from the inside too. Researchers describe something called commitment escalation, the pattern where people increase their investment in something specifically because it isn't working. The failing project that receives more time, the relationship that intensifies right before it ends, the goal that becomes more consuming the further away it seems. The logic underneath is rarely conscious, but it is always the same. If I try harder, the original decision was right. If I invest more, what came before wasn't wasted. If I hold on longer, I won't have to face what walking away means. This is the hidden architecture of persistence when it becomes a trap. Not stubbornness, not weakness. A deeply human attempt to protect something that was always more fragile than it looked. The self, the story, the identity built around the choice. So return to the question from the beginning. If I had invested nothing in this, no time, no years, no identity, would I choose it again today? For many people, the honest answer arrives before they want it to. And that answer is no. And that no doesn't mean the years were wasted. It doesn't mean you were foolish. It doesn't mean the version of you who began was wrong. It means you have changed. And what you've been holding on to hasn't changed with you. Persistence is not always strength. Sometimes it is the most sophisticated form of fear available to a human being. The fear of uncertainty, the fear of loss, the fear of an identity with no anchor, the fear of becoming someone you don't yet recognize. And releasing something, truly releasing it, is not the same as failing. It is the recognition that you are no longer the same person who began. That what you were reaching for has already been transformed by the reaching. That sometimes the most honest act of strength is not holding tighter, but opening the hand. This week, take one thing you have been holding on to. Don't decide whether to stay or go. Just ask one question. Am I here because it still serves who I am becoming? Or am I here because leaving would force me to become someone new? Sit with that. Don't reach for an answer. Just let the question do its work. This content is based on established psychology and behavioral research. It is not clinical advice. What is the one thing you know, somewhere beneath everything, you may be holding on to for the wrong reasons? Leave it in the comments. Quiet patterns.